A missile with a belly. That's the image burned into analysts' minds this week. A pot-shaped midsection grafted onto Ukraine's now famous Neptune. It's odd, it's unmistakable, and if Ukraine has pulled off what many suspect, conformal tanks wrapped around a standard airframe, then Moscow just woke up with a new problem on its doorstep. Not a paper concept, not a parade mock-up, a fieldable, factory-ready variant aimed squarely at the gap between Ukraine's original Neptune and its long-range cousins. Call it what the community has nicknamed it, the puffy Neptune. You don't need leaked schematics to understand why it matters. You just need a map, a ruler, and one cold question. If a Neptune can suddenly reach 300 miles or more with the same launcher footprint, what in Russia is no longer safe? Ukraine's Neptune story didn't stop at the anti-ship R-360 that went operational before the full-scale invasion. War-forced iteration. Engineers took the KH-35, inspired baseline and taught it to hunt land targets, then pushed range, guidance, and warhead options. By 2023, a land-attack Neptune was in the wild. By 2025, a much longer-legged long Neptune was being talked about openly by Kyiv. Into that arc steps a third path. Images from a recent industry showcase in Kyiv featured a Neptune-shaped missile with two rounded bulges along the mid-body, features never seen on prior airframes. Kyiv hasn't published a spec sheet. No official designation. But the visual differences are too large to ignore. Ukraine's defense sector has shifted from boutique prototyping to survivable, distributed manufacturing. Firms that once did trade studies are now laying up composites, machining cases, and integrating seekers under wartime pressure. When officials show hardware to foreign delegations and frame it as ready-made solutions, the message is clear. This isn't a slide deck. It's throughput. Whether in Ukraine or co-produced with partners, the intent is volume. The nickname stuck because of shape, not satire. Two symmetric bulges ahead of the tailplane aren't decorative. They signal either more fuel inside conformal tanks blended into the fuselage, an enlarged payload bay, and the power system to drive it, or both. Absent hard data, analysts lean toward fuel. Why? Because external pylons and drop tanks wreck a cruise missile's aerodynamic and radar signature, while conformal volumes preserve both, and the geometry seen in photos tracks with how fighter jets integrate CFTs. Form follows function. Take a standard Neptune's diameter and length. Now imagine adding volume without lengthening beyond launcher rails or transport canisters. You can flare the midsection, wrapping additional fuel along the sides, then fare it back into the tail. That keeps center of gravity shift manageable and protects the inlet and control surfaces. It also lets you reuse more of the launcher ecosystem, crucial when wartime logistics punish bespoke gear. Unless Ukraine announces a new seeker head, the most probable path is incremental. Improved INS or GPS hardening, better terrain-following logic, plus software-defined updates to the terminal profile. Those are software and avionics wins, not silhouette changing. In other words, nothing about the puffy exterior screams new seeker. That points back to fuel, range, and potentially a modest power budget increase for ECCM. Warhead trait space. Could the bulges hide a heavier charge? Possibly, but blast physics favors putting explosive mass where structure allows clean separation and stable flight, not in awkward pods. A heavier main charge can still fit if the mid-body volume relieves space constraints elsewhere. The two clean use cases are intuitive. More miles for the same punch, or more punch for the same miles. The market for both exists. Draw concentric rings from northeastern Ukraine toward Moscow. A 300-mile ring crosses the capital's outer logistics web. A 500-kilometer line reaches further into refineries, depots, and key rail junctions that Russia pushed out of reach of older Ukrainian inventories. If a Neptune derivative can now sit in that middle band, between the original shorter reach and the long Neptune's 1,000-kilometer class, Russia's depth collapses into gradients, not safe zones. Original Neptune, roughly 16 to 17 feet long, warhead on the order of several hundred pounds, anti-ship heritage, land attack conversion and service. Long Neptune, materially larger footprint, reported range on the order of hundreds of miles approaching the 1,000-kilometer class. The puffy, similar length class to the original but visually wider in the mid-body, consistent with extra internal volume. Exact figures are unconfirmed. Treat all numbers as bands, not promises. Russia can count launchers from satellite imagery. What it cannot easily see is a modified missile that still rides legacy rails. If Ukraine can flow puffy missiles through existing Neptune batteries, the practical range of those batteries jumps overnight without telegraphing new launcher deployments. That is deterrence by ambiguity. Vigor is not always better in wartime economics. The long Neptune's dimensions, warhead, and engine class likely mean higher unit costs and tighter industrial bottlenecks. A middle-range puffy that uses the standard launcher ecosystem offers a sweet spot. More reach than the baseline without the full logistical tax of the long-range airframe. That translates into more shots per month and more planners willing to expend them. Conformal volume preserves the clean external shape that makes a sea-skimming, terrain-hugging cruise missile hard to track and intercept. Add low-level flight with pop-up terminal profiles and decoy coordination, and defenders face the same problem set, just pushed deeper into their rear areas, where air defense density thins. Ukraine's campaign against refineries and fuel storage has already forced Russia into workarounds, throttling output, juggling railcar flows, and rationing retail sales in multiple regions. A puffy Neptune with mid-range reach intensifies that squeeze by threatening repair yards and secondary processing sites that were previously considered deep enough. Even a limited volley timed with drone swarms can force shutdowns measured in weeks, not days. Move radars and command posts deeper, and you extend your own cable runs, dilute redundancy, and grow reaction times. A mid-range cruise missile puts new pressure on layered air defenses already juggling cruise missile, ballistic, and FPV threats. The result is operational attention fatigue. You can defend a few nodes hard, but you cannot defend everything, everywhere, every night. Russia's military logistics drinking straw remains rail. Bridges, junctions, marshalling yards, and locomotive depots are time-sensitive targets where even managed damage ripples along whole fronts. A Neptune that can reach deeper rail nodes forces Russia to reserve more repair teams and move spares farther forward. Exactly where Ukraine's drones wait. From ship killer to land strike architect. The doctrinal leap wasn't just range, it was mindset. An anti-ship missile's terminal seeker can be married to terrain-hugging algorithms and updated guidance logic to punish fixed infrastructure. Each iteration widened the menu, from coastal targets to deep oil processing, from exposed radars to hardened depots using impact-optimized aim points. If the puffy fills a 500-kilometer class lane, Ukrainian planners gain cadence control. Long Neptune for rare, high-value, deep strikes. Puffy for frequent mid-depth runs. Baseline Neptune for closer, high-tempo tasks. That tri-tiered ladder lets Kyiv pace operations without burning crown jewel inventories. Dispersal and decoys. Expect more inflatable tanks, fake heat sources, and decoy radars. Decoys burn money. They also lengthen the checklist before any sortie moves, slowing Russia's operational tempo. Meanwhile, Ukraine can fuse ISR feeds to discriminate fakes over time. Push S-300 or 400 batteries and medium-range interceptors deeper to catch mid-range cruise profiles, and something at the front goes underdefended. Russia can thicken one band, not all bands. Each redeployment is a map of fear. Russia will continue to sink critical nodes into the ground, ring them with SHORAD, and double the guards. Hardened targets invite different aim points, transformers, pipe racks, loading gantries, the soft tissue of industry. A precise cruise missile does not need to crack a bunker to mission kill a facility. Kyiv hasn't released a formal name or data card. Until it does, treat any rigid number, range, warhead mass, seeker type, as provisional. The best clue is geometry. If length and interface points mirror the baseline Neptune, compatibility is likely. If the airframe grew beyond canister tolerances, then modified launchers follow. Imagery suggests the former, but we will flag differently if Kyiv publishes otherwise. It's plausible Ukraine keeps the standard anti-ship class charge for infrastructure kills and fields an alternative penetrator or enhanced blast option for special targets. If so, the puffy could be a modular truck. Same tankage, different payload kits. Mid-range missiles enable routine deep interdiction, not just headline spectaculars. Picture monthly pulses against refinery repair hubs, rail nerve centers, and long-range radar farms. Enough to keep Russia from restoring equilibrium. Drones saturate defenses, map radar behavior, and produce damage assessment in near real time. A puffy strike seated within a drone storm creates an attribution dilemma. Defenders exhaust interceptors on the cheap wave, Then the expensive, precise rounds arrive. When distance stops conferring safety, civilian logistics start acting like military logistics. Slower, more cautious, more brittle. Even if only a subset of strikes land, insurance, staffing, and schedules wobble. War is a contest of restoration speed. The puffy shrinks Russia's restoration window. Watch for 3 signals. First, official nomenclature, a name and a fact sheet with settle range bands and launcher details. Second, telemetry hints, public statements after successful long-reach strikes that imply new profiles or origin points. Third, foreign co-production agreements. Language about partner country manufacturing tied explicitly to missiles will signal throughput targets. If the band is 300 to 500 kilometers, strategy changes now. Moscow's planners will have to redraw air defense rings, escort more trains with mobile SAMs, and budget for longer downtime at refineries and depots. None of that wins them terrain. All of it costs them time and money they cannot spare. Bottom line, a chubby silhouette is not a gimmick. It's industrial pragmatism. Carve space where the launcher can handle it. Pour that space into fuel and mission endurance. Then let software carry the rest. Whether Ukraine calls it Neptune ER, Neptune CFT, or something entirely different, the logic is the same. Keep the batteries you have, make every road mobile launcher more dangerous, and turn Russia's depth into another frontline. Want defense that's BS-free? What the shape, range, and timing actually change on the map? You're in the right place. Hit subscribe, ring the bell, and share this with the friend who still thinks too far means safe. We'll keep stripping jargon so you see how capability turns into consequences.